everyone, my name is Leah and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I want to read in February, which I am excited for. Is this an overambitious TBR? Almost definitely. Am I going to read all of these books? Almost definitely not. You will also probably recognize some of these from a past TBR, if not multiple past TBRs. I think I was more successful than usual for my January TBR, so I'm at least making some progress in my TBRs, but I feel like there's not going to be any time that I read every single book on my TBR. First, we're going to start out with my TBR jar pick. For those of you who might not know, I have a TBR jar, and this contains little slips of paper with the names of all of the books on my physical TBR, so I try to pick one out each month and read that book. I haven't always been successful with that in the past. Last month, I actually did end up starting my TBR jar pick, and then I actually ended up DNFing it, but that is progress. I did start the book, so that's something. But I'm going to go ahead and pick a book from here. Alright, I'm gonna try to dig down in there, grab one. And I picked a book I've already read. Apparently I need to go through this jar and take out the books I've already read, because the title I picked was Who I Was with Her, which I have already read. I actually read that end of December, I think? Beginning of January? I read it at some point. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out of the jar, but I've already read that. So let's go ahead and pick something else. I did pick something that I know I'm definitely not in the mood to read this month, so I went ahead and put that back. And I just picked another book I've already read, which is Lost Stars. I've already read that. So I'll go ahead and take that out. Just found a book I'm currently reading, so I'm going to take that out. Alright, and the slip that I just picked out is The Bone Season, so I'm going to go grab that book. Alright, so it looks like I will be reading The Bone Season this month. So I honestly don't know that much about this, but I've been really wanting to read it. You might recognize it if you watched my top 21 books to read in 2021 video, because I really wanted to read this year. So it looks like I will be reading this. I am excited. I know this is adult fantasy. I'm wondering if it's a dense fantasy, because I don't know how in the mood I am for that, but I am really excited to try this out. So that's my TBR jar pick. Now on to all of the book club books that I want to read this month. First up is The Summer of Everything by Julian Winters, which is the February pick for the Bibliophiles book club that I am a co-host of. I know this is a YA contemporary romance, and I think it involves the main character trying to save an indie bookstore or something like that. I think there's something about a bookstore. I'm really excited to read this. It looks really cute, and if you want to join us for the live show is going to be on February 27th at 8 p.m. EST, and I believe this month it's going to be on my channel. Next up is Bitter Blue by Kristen Kishore, which I am reading for the Finish That Series book club. We already read Graceling and Fire for that. That club is hosted by RC, and he invited me to be a guest host for all of the Graceling Realm books. So we are reading Bitter Blue this month, as well as Winter Keep, which I am very excited for. The live show for this is going to be February 11th at 7 p.m. EST, and that will be on RC's channel, and then the live show for Winter Keep will be February 25th. I really enjoyed Graceling and absolutely love Fire, so I am really looking forward to reading this. I haven't really read the back, and I don't really know any of what's going to be happening in Winter Keep, because I have been actively trying to avoid reading the summary for that, because I had the feeling if I read the Winter Keep summary it might spoil me for some of what happens in Bitter Blue. I'm especially excited because for both Graceling and Fire I had read them before, and RC and Isa hadn't, so I was the one person who was rereading, and now I am also reading Bitter Blue and Winter Keep for the first time, so I'm really excited. All I really know is this takes place a few years after Graceling. I'm not sure how many years, but I am really looking forward to reading this. Then the next book I'm going to read, if I can get my hands on it, I currently don't have it, and I am hoping I am able to get my hands on it from the library or something like that before it is time for the live show, and that is A Tropical Fish Yearns for Snow, Volume 1. This is a sapphic manga, and I'm reading this for the Cardigan Comics Book Club, which is also hosted by RC, and the live show for this is February 18th at 7 p.m. EST. I'm especially excited for this because I read a series of manga for the first time last month and really enjoyed it, and I want to read another manga series. I want to try out more manga, and I'm especially excited for this because it's sapphic, and if y'all have been watching me by now, you know anything sapphic is my brand. The next book club pick I want to read is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernadine Evaristo, and this is a pick for the Crusty Club hosted by Chanel. The date and time for the live show is currently TBD, but it will definitely be in early March because for Chanel, she usually does the live shows early on in the month after that pick is for, so for the February book, early March. I don't know that much about this book. I'm reading it for Chanel's Club, and I'm excited. Next up are some books that I am reading for the Blackathon. Blackathon is hosted by Jesse over at Bowties and Books, and I will link their channel and information for this down below. Any of the live shows and book clubs and things like that, I will link information for down below in the description. For Blackathon, there are several different teams, and I'm going to do Team SFF, Science Fiction Fantasy, and I am excited. A lot of the books that I picked I honestly don't know that much about, but I am really excited to try. I'll also put the little picture with all of the prompts up here for the team that I'm doing, and you can also find information about the other teams down below. First off, I'm going to be reading The Lesson by Caldwell Turnbull. Honestly, I don't know that much about this. Like I said, I don't know a lot about some of these books. This is the group book for Team SFF, and I'm really excited to try it out because I hadn't heard about it before, and I read the description and it sounded interesting. Now I don't remember anything that I read, so I think I'll just kind of go into it without knowing that much about it, but it seemed interesting. I'm not sure yet if I will read it via audio or ebook because my library had both. I tend to not do as well with science fiction and fantasy on audio because it's harder for me to follow and I get distracted. I really like audiobooks, but I do better with like contemporary and things like that for audio, but maybe I'll try the audiobook for this. The next book is contingent on whether I can get my hands on a copy, and this is for the first prompt, and the book I want to read is David Mogo God Hunter, and my friend RC read this novella last month and really enjoyed it, but my library doesn't have it, and I'm trying not to buy books right now, so I don't know if I will end up reading this. If anyone has any suggestions for books that could satisfy that first prompt, I am really looking for other books as a possibility because I don't know if I'm going to be able to get my hands on this book, but I'm really hoping to because it sounds interesting and RC enjoyed it. Then for the second prompt, I'm going to be reading Binti, which is the first book in a trilogy of sci-fi fantasy novellas that sound really interesting. I've had my eye on them for a while and been meaning to read them for a while, so I'm really excited to read this. I might try the audio for this one. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll read it physically. This is also pretty short. The audiobook is only like 2.5 hours or something like that, so I'll definitely get through this one pretty quickly. The last book I'm going to read is for the third prompt, and for this I'm going to be reading Yesterday is History by Kisoko Jackson. This just came out. As of me filming this literally came out yesterday. It sounds so interesting. I'm really excited. This is a YA contemporary / historical fiction because there is time travel involved. This just sounds so interesting and I'm really excited to read it. So those are the book club books and books I want to read for Blackathon. Now on to some of my general TBR books for February. First up is Entwined by Heather Dixon. I don't know that much about this, even though I've probably owned it for like 4 years or something. I know this is a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, so I might want to read that before I read this. I'm not sure. I'm slightly familiar with the story, but I might want to read a little bit more about it before I pick this up. I'm going to be buddy reading this with Kay, which I'm really excited about, and I'll link their channel down below. Like the book clubs and readathon information, I'll try to link the info of anyone I mentioned down in the description box below. Then I will be reading a book I am very excited about, and that is Black Sun by Rebecca Rohnhorse. I have heard so many good things about this book, been meaning to read it since like November, December, whenever this came out. Actually before this came out, because I know RC and Kay both read arcs of this and really enjoyed it, so I've been looking forward to it since then. Also, the cover is just gorgeous, and I'm going to be buddy reading this with my friend Jess. Next up is A Hat Full of Sky by Terry Pratchett. I'm really excited to read this. I read The We Free Men, which is the first book in this series, in November? It might have been November. That was for a reading vlog I still haven't finished, which I need to do soon. This is the second book in the Tiffany Aching series by Terry Pratchett. I really enjoyed book 1. I love Terry Pratchett's like whimsical writing style, so I'm really looking forward to picking this up. Next is Winter Counts, which is a mystery thriller. I am trying to branch out more in different genres, especially thriller, because I've read several thrillers. I struggle with them a little bit. I feel like that's a genre that's a little harder for me to get into personally, and I am really looking for some that I really enjoy. I'm trying to find some thrillers that really hit for me. This has a Lakota main character, and I'm buddy reading this with Chanel. Then another book I'm going to be reading is The Selection by Kira Cass. Yes, this is like an early 2010s YA, very backlist book, and I actually have read it before. I don't really remember anything about it though, and I don't even really remember what my thoughts about it were, other than I didn't continue on with the series. I don't think I loved it, but I also didn't hate it. But a group of my friends are doing this kind of retro YA thing where we're going to revisit some old YA series, and the first one is going to be The Selection. Honestly, I have like no expectations for this other than having a good time reading a book with my friends. Will I end up just reading the first book, or will I read the entire series? That remains to be seen. I think we're trying to read the whole series this month, but I don't know if I'll do that. We'll see. So yeah, I'll be reading The Selection. Then there's the books that were on last month's TBR that I have not gotten to. Now, there are probably some books on that TBR that I didn't read that you probably won't see on this TBR. I don't remember exactly what they are. There's at least one that I DNF'd. I don't know about the others. I'm not going to revisit that TBR for this TBR, because if I've kind of lost interest for now, I will just come back to it in the future. I'm trying to really read books that I'm in the mood for. But the first one is a book that I was supposed to buddy read with RC last month, and then neither of us ended up getting around to it, so we're going to get to it this month, and that is Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson. Since I mentioned it in my January TBR, I'm not really going to say much about it, and same goes for all the rest of the books I'm going to mention in this TBR. I'm not going to say that much about them since you've seen them in a previous video, but I'm really excited to read this. Then next is These Violent Delights, which was the January pick for the Crusty Club. I was supposed to read it last month, and then I hadn't gotten my hold in from the library. I didn't think I was going to be able to read it in time for the live show, and I was really bummed about that. And then the other night, I got a knock on my door while my roommate and I were watching TV, and we were like, hello? And it was a package, and I was like, I wasn't expecting anything, and inside was this book. My friend Reagan gifted it to me. Thank you so much, Reagan. So now I can read it for the Crusty Club. I'm going to have to read this really soon. I'm actually probably going to start reading this as soon as I finish filming this video, because that live show is February 6th at 5 p.m. EST. Will that date have passed by the time I upload this video? I don't know. I'm not sure when this video is going to go up. But I'm really excited to read this. I am so happy that I can read it now for the live show. Thanks, Reagan. Then there's Jane Unlimited, which I was supposed to read last month, actually supposed to read several months ago. This is the last book I need to read for that reading vlog that I mentioned earlier in the video. Haven't gotten to it yet. Then another probably familiar book, and that is An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. I've been meaning to read this since like September maybe? I think it might have been September. Yeah. Then there's the books that I'm currently reading. I actually think there might be like an ebook or two that I started that I'm not even mentioning right now because I don't even remember everything I'm currently reading. I'm a disaster. But there are two books I started in January I want to finish this month. The first is Poirot Investigates by Agatha Christie, which is a collection of short stories by her. And the next is Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor. I absolutely zoomed through books 1 and 2 last month, and then I don't know what happened. I got this far into it and then I just stopped reading. I think I was just like not in the mood for bad things to happen. And since this is the last book in a trilogy, I was like, characters are gonna die, everything's going to go wrong, this is going to be depressing, this is going to be sad. Like, I was just not in the mood, I guess, to read the finale, but I'm really looking forward to reading this finally this month. Then there's 3 books I'm not even going to say anything about. I'm just going to hold them up to the camera in shame. And if you've seen any of my previous TBRs, you will know why. Yes, I am still currently reading these. No, I have not made any progress on them. But yeah, I think those are all of the books that I want to read in February. I will definitely end up reading some books not on this list. And like I said earlier, I won't read all the books on this list, almost definitely. But that's what I want to read this month. If you've read any of these, please let me know your thoughts on them. If you want to read them in the future, let me know. I would love to hear about what your reading plans are for February. If you enjoyed watching this, you can give it a like. You could also hit subscribe to my channel so you can find out if I do end up reading all of these. If you've made it this far in the video, let's say leave some sort of like bone or skull emoji for the bone season. I don't actually know how much bones have to do with that book, but it's in the title, so we'll say that. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Oh, top the spell. I'm always dropping things. This is a Sapphic. I was just filming my outro and remembered I forgot to talk about a book. So, one more book to talk about. Things are falling. I'm dropping papers. I'm going to mention oh, my shoulder just cracked. Could the camera hear that? I feel like I was gonna say something and now my brain has lost the thought.